Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Scrambled Eggs, a podcast you'll hear only if you're lucky.
Updating you on adulting topics every Friday.
I'm Zoe.
I'm Kingsley.
So, welcome back to this podcast. And today, following our successful episode on Everything Everywhere All at Once, we've decided to review another movie.
Woohoo!
We are jumping onto the trend. So, a really hot topic for the past few weeks on social media, where we see a lot of mixed opinions, are no other than the live version of The Little Mermaid. So, for those of you who don't know, which you should, by the way, The Little Mermaid, aka Ariel, is one of the main and original princesses in the Disney universe, along with Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Belle. I would say Mulan is,
Yeah,
but
Mulan
I'm
is
not
one of
sure.
them as
What
well,
my favorite one was definitely Sleeping Beauty back in the days, because I think it was because of the pink dress, but then later on it became Belle because of the yellow dress. I think it's just primarily based on colors.
Yeah.
I'm naive like that.
I'm not quite familiar with all these Disney princesses. Out of all the princesses, I think I've only seen the Snow White original cartoon for like the complete movie, but all the other princesses movies, I don't think I've watched any of them.
Yeah, I think I've watched Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty. That's it. I think it was because it was 3 movie on one disc, and then it was just that, and I just watched that basically. But yeah, I've heard of stories of other princesses like Jasmine, Ariel, Mulan, Belle. Yeah, I think these are the original princesses back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Ariel, back in the days, the animation, she is traditionally portrayed as white, and she has red hair, like bright red hair, and a green tail. And so the main controversy these days is that the actress casted as Ariel, Halle Bailey, in the live action of the movie is not exactly the same as in the animation. So we categorize her as black.
I think that's the controversial point.
Yeah, so we just watched the movie this week. I watched it on Tuesday, and I told Kingsley, "Oh, we're short of podcast topics. What should we talk about? We should talk about something
I suggested
that's hot."
Little Mermaid because I went on Twitter and then I saw Little Mermaid.
Oh, you saw it trending.
Yeah, I saw it trending. I was like, Little Mermaid is apparently one of the hot topics. And then so it's like, okay, let's talk about Little Mermaid. And I was like, I haven't watched the movie yet. And then so he was like, you should. And guys, I just watched the movie like a few hours ago. I just came right back home, and then I'm recording the podcast right now. So guys, please appreciate my effort.
Kingsley is what, like, it's so funny, like how people watch movies for chilling or enjoying the movie, and then we're doing it because we have a podcast.
I was like focusing
it's all just for the podcast.
Yeah, focusing on all the details when I was watching the movie because I was thinking like, if
and
I
yet
missed that,
he fell asleep.
Well, I'm gonna
he
say
always falls asleep in in movie theaters. Like, it's a crime.
I wouldn't fall asleep to all the movies, but I have some comments to say about this movie. Like, why did I fall asleep?
Excuses. Okay, go.
So we would like to share some of our first impressions of this live version of Little Mermaid. I think Disney has produced a lot of live version of the cartoon movies in the past. For the Princesses series, I've watched Aladdin and also Beauty and the Beast. Those two are amazing. But I've never watched The Little Mermaid, the cartoon version. So this is my first time understanding the plot and everything.
But have you never heard of that story before?
No, nothing. I knew the character. I knew the character.
So zero exposure.
Yeah, zero exposure. I know there's like Little Mermaid. I know Ursula, but that's it. That's really it. So yeah, I have no expectation. But when the cast was published, I would say because I know Hailey Bailey, the main character, the character who played Ariel. So you will talk a little bit about who Hailey Bailey is. later.
Actually, is her name pronounced Haley Bailey or is it Halle Bailey? I
Halle Bailey
actually
is.
don't know.
I just searched it up because I'm so afraid that I pronounced her name wrongly.
Yeah.
So Haley Bailey
So is it Haley?
Haley Bailey is American pronunciation. Halle Bailey is British pronunciation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so either
fine.
Haley or Holly is fine. So I
Okay,
knew
great.
her because I've heard some of her songs. Her vocal is very nice. So I think after watching the movie, we all can agree that her vocal performance is stunning.
Yeah.
Like
She can sing, yeah.
She can really sing. I think if I were the director, one of the reasons that I would cast Halle Bailey is because of her vocal performance. I think that's one of the winning points. But I think the story is fine. The songs are good. But I'm going to talk a little bit about why I fall asleep. It's because like in the middle part, there's a spoiler alert. There's a scene from Ariel's deal with Ursula, and then she's coming from the ocean, and then suddenly getting on the land, and then become a human. That part is super boring.
Yes, it is.
Like
when I first checked how long the movie was, it was 135 minutes, and I was like, it's a really simple storyline. How can it be so long?
Yeah, and it was
like over 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I was like, it's so boring. Like I'm just watching because she couldn't speak as well. She just watched everything going on around her, and then I've heard some like sound effects or whatever. There's like some music playing in the background, but I didn't really like fall for it. So I fell asleep a little bit, and I woke up when the prince and Little Mermaid met in the castle. I woke up and I was like, okay, we're getting into it now. And then yeah, the plot is a little bit boring, honestly. I maybe it's more of an age problem. Some of the scenes are really boring. Like there's some scenes about them trying to flirt with each other. They're like having the chemistry and connection, that part, and then they're in the rainforest, that kind of thing. That part was kind of boring as well. And then I think the worst thing is about the art direction.
La 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 la, you gotta kiss the girl.
Oh yeah.
That part is so funny.
Yeah, and then I think it's the art direction, because I've seen Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. The art direction is phenomenal, but I think the art direction for this movie is it makes everything looks a little bit cheap. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the animation, and because they need to animate all the fish and ocean and that kind of stuff, and maybe that's maybe it's the most difficult part of animation. Yeah. I don't know.
You have to make everything feel like the movement of the water and everything.
I mean,
I don't know.
Disney's experience with these kind of like live animation of animals is Little Mermaid or probably Lion King. Lion King is fine. I've watched Lion King as well, live version.
I haven't watched Lion King.
Yeah, no. that one was fine. Yeah, because it's just tigers, lions. I don't want to get cancelled.
Tiger King, not Lion King anymore.
But anyway, yeah, the art direction, like the makeup, the look, and the animation, they all look a little bit cheap. But I don't know. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be, based on the animation. But yeah. Oh, and also there's a rap song that I just checked. It's a new song.
Oh,
that one was so terrible.
Definitely. Is it between the crab and the seagull or something?
Yeah, They changed it. It's not a seagull anymore, but we just call it a bird. Yeah. The rap part, I cringed so hard. I was like,
it's so Gen Z, right? I know.
Yeah, I was like, why are you rapping? And then, not gonna lie, I was checking my phone all the time. Not checking notification or what. I was just checking the time. Like, when is it finished? Okay, that's what all that I need to talk about this movie. Like, my first impression. What about yours?
Well, I have never watched the animation in full before, but I've watched like snippets of it. Like, I have an idea of how the storyline goes. Like, Ariel is obsessed with the land above. She saw Eric, fell in love with him, and then she saved him in a shipwreck, and then she wanted to go be with him, and then she can't get legs, so she made a deal with the sea witch, and then there's always this element of true love's kiss
Oh,
involved. Oh, you have to kiss him within 3 days, and it
I
has to be true love
cringe.
kiss,
Sorry, I
or
cringe.
else I know it's a story, I know it's Disney, and I know this happens in all
Snow
princess
White
movies,
as
but
well.
I
Yeah.
just think about it. Sometimes I feel like it's because of all these movies that we watch from a young age, especially girls that think oh, you're gonna have a true love's kiss or fall in love with somebody in just a day or two because of all these movies. We get injected by all these wrong information at such a young age. We bring that into our adulthood.
I
Yeah,
kind of agree.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
understand it's Disney and it's like a cartoon or animation, but yeah, watching it 10 years ago, knowing the storyline 10 years ago, and rewatching almost the same storyline 10 years later is so different because you bring such an adulthood lens into the cinema to watch it. You kind of feel like you don't have a childlike mindset anymore. You just
Mm.
find flaws and the reality of everything instead of just trying to enjoy the movie. That's how I felt. Yeah.
But I would say the pop culture landscape changed a lot as well. All these what we're valuing in a movie or what message we're trying to convey in a movie. I think that kind of mindset changed throughout the years, compared to when we were younger. So that's normal that we don't really agree with the idea or the message that these movies want to tell us back in the days. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with Kingsley. I don't think it's exactly it looks cheap, but it doesn't look very real to me because maybe
Yeah.
I've watched Avatar,
Yeah, I was
called The
about to say
Way of
Avatar,
Water.
yeah.
Yeah, that one was really good, and so I have a comparison in mind. But yeah, anyway, but I think the biggest bug for me in the storyline is that Ariel, seven sisters, or is it seven daughters of Triton, which is the father, and then they have one mother,
Mm-hmm.
but then all the seven of them are basically different skin color or different ethnicities, which is
Mm-hmm.
so weird because how can that happen biologically?
But
But then again, we're talking about mermaids and stuff,
yeah,
so
mermaids,
it's
yeah.
not really accurate anyway. But I think it's a Disney's attempt to try and make it more diverse, but it's
Yeah.
weird
But
because you can't imagine if you have seven siblings and you only have one mother and all seven siblings are of different ethnicity, but they are your biological siblings, so it's there's something wrong here, you
but
know?
my first impression was okay, these seven sisters, seven daughters represent the seven seas. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
it makes, and then they're mermaids, so maybe they work differently, you know. So when I first saw they
Yeah, it
come
doesn't
with
matter if they work differently, but how can the same parents produce children of different
yeah,
ethnicity? That's a bug.
I get your point. I get your point. But I was like, okay, seven different ethnicity, and then they're trying to represent seven C's. Okay, diversity, inclusiveness. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was my first impression. I didn't really have a hot feeling, but I do get your point. I do see where you come from. Yeah,
If you look at it in a more logical point of view, it's either something wrong with the genes or anything that the children came out as different ethnicity, or it's either the father is not very loyal to the mother, so probably he has a
Ooh.
very scandalous
Whoa.
love life. That's why
You
all
watch
the
too much
daughters of this
K drama.
ethnicities. But seriously though,
Yeah, I know.
how can two, I don't know, Western looking or white people
Well, we
Caucasian give
never
birth to an Asian?
we never know the daughter's mother look like how she looks like, right? She didn't even show up in the movie, so we never know.
But there's supposed to be just one queen. Okay, anyway, we're brushing past this. But I think this bug that we kind of draw upon is actually kind of the highlight of today's topic, and it's about Disney's attempt to bring diversity into films. And this is also one of the controversy. That's why it's trending on Twitter, because the original animation Ariel is white with red hair and a green tail. Yeah, that's why there's this controversial opinion about why they casted a black actress when
Yeah.
the original animation is a white princess, and then people thinking it's an adaptation, they should refer to the original, and that's how a lot of people perceive Ariel as this white princess with red hair and a green tail. So a little information about Halle Bailey, because I have never really known her before this movie, and I've never really heard of her as well. So I did a little bit of research. Basically, Halle Bailey is an American actress, singer, and a member of the musical duo Chloe and Halle, along with her sister Chloe Bailey. So they gained recognition through their YouTube covers and were eventually signed by Beyonce's management company, Parkwood Entertainment. I never even knew Beyonce has like a label or something, but that was really surprising. So the casting of Halle Bailey as Ariel was announced in July the 3rd, 2019, which was a while back. And I kind of knew a long time ago because it was all over social media. Way before this movie was released, we know the casting choices were different. And that was a hot topic back then. So it immediately sparked widespread attention. So a lot of people think they should just cast like white person, because it's like adaptations are adaptations for a reason. So if you want to cast anyone in any movie, it's fine, because like it's a new story and people don't already have like a perception or an impression of it. But if it's an adaptation, people think that you should refer to the original. It's as like respect to it, you know. It's not just changing everything. Then it's not an adaptation anymore. It's like a completely new thing. So that's why a lot of people are discontent or disappointed. But then some people might think of this as like a sort of racism, when people think black actresses or black actors shouldn't be cast in like a movie like Little Mermaid. But maybe people, so I think it's like a different viewpoint. There may be a few reasons why people think black actress shouldn't be playing Ariel. Maybe some people think that because they are racist, and that's bad. But maybe some people think it's because they should refer back to the original, and that's why they shouldn't class a black actress. And I don't think that is actually racist. But yeah, a lot of people might think of that. If you think that you shouldn't cast a black actress, then it's categorized as racist. But I don't necessarily think that, because the motivation behind that action is different. What do you think?
I think, like, okay, for me, because I know about the cartoon, I know in the cartoon she's a white, red hair, red lips, that kind of thing. But if I were like 5 years old and then I didn't even watch the original cartoon, and then this live version is the first version that I've ever seen, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind she would be a black. True. Because I think because there's no reference for me, and then like a black mermaid still makes sense to me. Yeah, it doesn't really matter if she's a black, white, that makes sense, yellow,
actually. Right? Never thought of it that way.
And then she can sing as well, and then she actually performs quite well as well. So I think she got all the check boxes to be a good actress, except maybe for like the
adaptation part.
Adaptation part, like for the former generations, people like their childhood, they are very used to this white mermaid. So when they see the black mermaid, it will feel a little bit weird. Just like if a Westerner is playing Mulan, apparently Mulan is adapting from a Chinese history. I think it's a part of history.
I think it's a part of history.
Some people are like playing characters for a movie called The Great War, but actually there are Western dragons and Westerners fighting at the Great War, and then people will be like, why aren't like Chinese or East Asians fighting at a Great War instead of Westerners and Western dragons as well? It's not even Chinese or East Asian dragons. I like that kind of cultural background would confuse people. But I think maybe in the original story, the original Little Mermaid story, the book, or I don't know, like book or like script, whatever, it didn't really specify it's a black or white. So for me, my point
I think it's just because a lot of people watch the animation first, then they perceive Ariel as white. But I've never thought of it as like what you mentioned about young people like who've never seen the animation, that the first time they've watched like known Little Mermaid is of the live action movie, then that's actually a good way to increase diversity, and also is a sign of representation.
Yeah, it's just another way of interpretation. It doesn't mean anything. If you think it like just simply think that it's a new movie It's just another way of interpretation. It doesn't mean like
Yeah.
any kind of
That actually
racist.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't mind anyone casting in anything. And to be honest, I don't think casting anyone in that movie bothered me as much. But I'm still like
Continue.
I still don't agree with the 7 sisters of different ethnicity. Like that is an ultimate bug in the movie.
I mean,
that doesn't make sense at all biologically.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, as an East Asian living in a Western environment, like we come across a diverse ethnicity of ethnicity of people. Yeah. So, like, we come across different people from different countries, cultural backgrounds. But I would say there's also one scene that really makes me cringe. Is the last scene when the Little Mermaid and the prince were setting off to the boat. Is it boat ship? Yeah, the voyage. Is it not? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay. So when they're setting off, and then all the mermaids, they all come above the sea, and then the humans on the land, and they're like, oh, saying farewell to both of them. And then that scene made me cringe because I've seen like a diverse of ethnicity of mermaids, and I'm like, oh, there's East Asian, they're black, they're maybe South Asian, Middle Eastern, white. And I was like, why is it happening there? It's just like suddenly like all of these diversity, inclusivity, that kind of messages come together. And I'm like, oh, this is a very like political scene. Or maybe that's Disney's purpose to have this kind of like diversity scene or image, or maybe just one shot, and suddenly like all the people around the world, no matter what background you are, we all unite together.
They come together.
Yeah, and then you know, I know like this kind of message that like the peace, peace, no war message always comes in cartoons or like different kind of movies, but I think it makes it a little bit too easy for the queen to realize that, oh, it's time for us to amend our relationship with the sea creatures, with the mermaids,
sea people.
Yeah, I've understand it wrong. Like, I should believe you, my son.
It's so like Romeo and Juliet kind of vibe.
Yeah,
like,
because I don't think
peace will never happen unless 2 youngsters fall in love.
Yeah, because I think 1 hour earlier, you're still on the dining table, making a speech to your son, saying like, we belongs to different worlds, and then suddenly, and 1 hour later, you're saying like, oh, I'm sorry, but there's nothing in between like happening, explaining this kind of like why the queen think like that. And then it just suddenly shifted. In that hour, it's just the prince and Ariel flirting with each other. So yeah, I think that was one of the bugs as well. Yeah, it doesn't really explain well like the diversity and the peace, like how that peaceful mindset came along. Yeah.
I think also nowadays it's all about like directors do casting. It's more political than actually just making art, you know? It's more like if this scene was like this movie was, for example, if they're casting for Mulan and it's an all Asian cast, but then they want to make it seem more diverse, would they cast like black people or Caucasian people or different kinds of people into the movie as an attempt to make it more diverse? But then it would be weird because at that age and in China, when Mulan was trying to go to war for her father, it wasn't against like European countries or
I know
the Americas. It was more like a civil wars inside the country. Now that would be weird. In the movie The Little Mermaid, this attempt of trying to integrate a diverse range of cast works well. Whereas I think in other scenarios like Mulan it would not work as well.
I think we're not being biased as in like, oh, because we're East Asians and we know a lot about Chinese history, and then we're trying to say like, oh, we don't care about Little Mermaid because that's just black versus white. But if it's East Asian yellow people, we value our ethnicity. I cannot pronounce this word. Ethnicity. Yes. So we're saying like Mulan has to be yellow, and all the soldiers and all the like actresses in this movie should be yellow. We're not saying that, like, because there could be Mongolian, and then they will look slightly different as well, Central Asian.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, we're saying like, because we don't think that maybe we're wrong, but we don't think that Little Mermaid has a historic background or like a real context behind it. That's why it makes sense if they're trying to like incorporate the diversity in the movie. Where in terms like if it's Mulan, it's a total different story, because there
even in like Jasmine.
Oh yeah, because it's
in Aladdin.
I
think Middle East, so it would be weird if suddenly an Asian appeared. Or,
I don't know.
I don't know any kind of
Asian
history, but
in Aladdin. Why do I think like there would be one? Let me search it up. You can talk in the meantime.
But yeah, I think there is actually a diverse range of ethnicity or princesses in Disney even back in the days, because like we have, although the majority of them are white, but I think Disney's attempt is to increase diversity. That's why there's Jasmine, there's also Mulan included, as opposed to just Cinderella, Belle, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. I always feel like Snow White looks a little bit Asian to me. Really? I think maybe because she has black hair. That's what I thought when I was younger.
Oh yeah, black hair. Yeah. You have a point. Okay, I have to. Sorry, but I have to make one thing clear. Just now I said, is there any Asian actors in the Aladdin live version? I'm sorry, because I just automatically think like yellow, East Asian, are Asian.
East Asian.
Sorry, because Aladdin is South Asian.
There are a lot of different Asian.
Yeah, they're South Asian. I'm sorry, don't cancel me. Yeah.
But yeah,
they're South Asian.
I actually don't know.
Yeah. They're South Asian.
But that movie was good. I do like that movie.
That one was good. Really good.
Aladdin.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it also goes back to like adaptation and originality, as in like the original animation. Because if we talk about Aladdin, I think in the original, I haven't watched it really, like the full length movie animation, because back in the days, like full movies of Disney movies are hell expensive, and I'm not that rich, so haven't really watched that. Only watched that on TV, you know, TV, Pearl. Sometimes they have like Saturday movie blockbusters where you watch every 15 minutes. There will be like ads and stuff. But
but that's fine.
Sometimes I do watch that. Yeah. But then it's usually late at night, so I only watch for like an hour and then have to go to bed. So I never watched the whole thing. But like I have a slight idea that I think the song, which was really popular in the live movie of Aladdin, Speechless, which was sung by Jasmine, was definitely not there in the animation, and I think that is a really good addition in the live action movie. And I also think this is Disney's attempt to kind of show like female empowerment, you know, not just about diversity in that sense. It's more they're like voicing out, I won't be silenced, and things like that. And I think that actually fits well into the storyline as well, so that's actually a good one.
And then there are also a few scenes in the live version of The Little Mermaid, which is different from the original one, because they're trying to incorporate female empowerment, which I think is a good thing. It's just like in the beginning, Ariel was trying to trick the shark to go into to get tricked by Amira. That scene. Originally, it was just the shark being dumb and just crash into the boat. It doesn't mean Ariel didn't really it didn't really show Ariel's wisdom in tricking or like solving this kind of problem. And
so it's showing, the live movie is showing that Ariel has more brains,
more
smarter,
brains.
and she's and she's not as infatuated by Eric as the animation shows. She's just more fascinated by the human world in general, more than just Eric.
That was also a point, because in the original movie, it kind of shows like Ariel is very obsessed with Eric, the prince. But in the live version, it's more like Ariel just being obsessed with human world, but not the prince. And actually, they the flirting scenes between Ariel and Eric were actually new in the live version, because they didn't really have that in the animation. So that's maybe 30-minute flirting scenes was just trying to show like, oh, their love arose during this journey, the trip they went on together. It is not just basic simple obsession with each other.
Yeah.
I think that kind of
So
explains
I
the
would,
part.
yeah.
But
I would argue
it's still
that
boring.
Disney is trying to incorporate a lot of new concepts, new like Gen Z concepts, like of female empowerment, like girls not just obsessing over boys, girls have like a lot of power within ourselves too, and that's why they incorporate all of that, all these values into the movie. But one of the things that I do not agree with, which is also a very Gen Z thing, is the rapping that they included in the movie.
I think they're trying to do these kind of stuff to just rebrand the movie and also like keep up with the trend. Yeah. I mean, that's marketing. We all know that.
I feel like Disney has been over the years trying to increase diversity and everything into their movies, even in their theme parks and everything. And like I'm all for that. I'm all for like huge conglomerates including values that are right and that are widely accepted nowadays into their work or into their services. But I always feel like especially for movies, because there's a plot involved, I always feel like it has to be natural. Like it can't be forced or else it will just make people cringe. Whereas like I just talked about just now about the Aladdin movie where they incorporate a new song of Speechless of Princess Jasmine singing that. I think that felt really natural. But like what Kingsley highlighted in the Little Mermaid where all the mermaids and people were sitting by the shore, like that feels a little bit forced.
Yeah,
so
that one was,
I do understand the motive behind it of trying to promote these values, but like if the directors or if the screenplay or script writers include it for the sake of including it and it's not really smoothly incorporated into the storyline, sometimes it might have like an opposite effect, like not the desired effect anymore.
I know like we cannot satisfy everyone's opinion. Like not everyone thinks that the Little Mermaid should be a white, or not everyone thinks that the Little Mermaid should be a black. And I think it's a very good thing for us to raise the attention towards this kind of like we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different cultural backgrounds and ethnicity. Yes. Yeah. So I think because we're not trying to just, I mean, Disney could have just directly copied what they made in the past and still got loads of money and profits and revenue from that. But
at least they're trying to do better.
Yeah. The
do
good
it for
thing,
the greater good.
Yeah. The good thing is they're trying to make you like understand like we all born differently and we should respect each other. I think that's a good thing. Not that you're trying to force and using it like a gimmick to sell your product. I mean, yeah, that kind of seemed like a little bit gimmicky, but at the same time, it still shows diversity and like showing people understanding of different cultural backgrounds. I think that's still a good thing to do.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you watch the movie, like if you try and watch it like objectively, like look at the acting, look at the singing, I think Halle Bailey is definitely perfect for the role.
Yes.
Like if you exclude the race one where where it's so controversial because of the original one, but she definitely can sing, and I think she definitely can act, and I think sometimes that's all that matters. In the movie, if there's no like historical accuracy or anything.
Oh yeah. I think the background research and then like how the team or the director, screenwriter were trying to promote or portray the movie, like how they interpret the original story and then trying to tell their own story or trying to tell their own versions. That's really up to what they're thinking or what they believe in. Yeah, but like overall, I would say like except for people's controversial opinion about like whether she should be a black or white, I think it's still a solid movie, like a solid 6.5 to
Disney
7
movie.
It's a little bit low,
I wouldn't say it is a good movie in my like in my mind, because I think there are a lot more good movies than that. Because I think this like plot is not something our age is like the people our age are looking for. So I would say it's a solid Disney movie, but like I love a lot other movies that
Yeah.
I personally love like logical plot stuff that has like plot twists, but they're logical.
Yeah.
So and it's like, oh, wow, like I like courtroom
Yeah.
dramas and things like that.
It's just different
So maybe
ages.
personally, that's
Yeah.
my cup of tea.
Yeah, just different age groups. We have different preferences, or we see the
Yeah.
world differently. Maybe, yeah, that's a good idea to introduce the kids or the younger generation, Gen Alpha, Gen Z, not Gen Z anymore.
I don't even
Gen
know what name
Gen Alpha.
they have nowadays.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah.
Gen Alpha. Like the new babies, they're Gen Alpha. Like showing them a different side of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still believe in that.
To
she's alive.
conclude, for
I think
me,
so.
originally, like before I've heard what Kingsley said about if younger children's the first exposure to the Little Mermaid, like before I heard about all of that, I am more for going with what the original is like. So because I always feel like adaptations are adaptations for a reason. Like the reason why there's an adaptation movie make is because the original one was successful. That's why there's an adaptation or like a real life adaptation of an animation. So I always feel like they should refer back to it. But that's from a point of view from a person who has known the animated Ariel.
Yeah.
So that's why originally I was really for that. But after hearing Kingsley's point of view of how younger kids who watch Little Mermaid for the first time, that will be their impression of how Little Mermaid is, and that is actually a really good representation of like how everyone, not just white people, can be princesses or white people can be like the lead in Disney movies, and I feel like that's a really good sign of representation as well. So right now I don't really have a really for or against like kind of thing. I like Halle Bailey in the movie because like she can sing, she can act, she checks all the boxes, and to be honest, at the end of the day, like it doesn't really bother me who they cast in the movies anyway. It's not like I'm going to go out on the street and tell everyone I hate this movie because of the cast, or I'm not gonna go out and tell everyone to watch that movie because I love the casting. So it doesn't really bother me as much, but I do admire what Disney is trying to do. And I also feel like there are a lot of princesses live action movies that may come up in the future that feature a lot of princesses of different ethnicities as well, like Tiana, like the princess and the frog. I do like that storyline because she owns a restaurant. I think that's more like a female empowerment side coming up. I think that would be highlighted in a live action movie as well. And I see a lot of new movies showcasing princesses of different ethnicities as well, like in Moana, which was super popular, and the whole storyline is about a girl trying to find her way through the sea, which is super powerful. And then also a movie like Encanto, which is featuring, I think, a Spanish background.
Latin.
I haven't watched that movie, but so it's like Disney's kind of highlighting all kinds of culture, not just merely like, oh, white or black or Asian, like these white categories, but going in depth, so a lot more children can feel like they can be included when they watch these like animations for the first time.
And also like in an alternative way, instead of just like replacing some of these original characters, just like, oh, like if you're not trying to bring this like black or white controversy again, I think it's also a very good chance to create some new characters based on different cultural backgrounds.
Exactly.
Just like there's also a new princess in this category. Her name is Raya, and then she's the first Southeast Asian princess, and I did a little bit of research.
I don't know that.
I did a little bit of research.
That's nice.
And then it's basically, I mean, obviously some people would say like, oh, that's not inclusive enough, blah blah blah, but based on her,
I think it's the first step.
It's the first step. Based on the background, she the team studied like 11 countries, and then they're trying to incorporate bit and bit of each culture, and then they're trying to create this character called Raya, the new princess from Southeast Asia. I think that's a good thing. You're not trying to replace any roles or trying to change anyone's mind, but just create new characters,
creating new iconic characters.
I think that's also one of the way outs. So I think
that wraps up what we feel about the live action of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like the movie or not, or you feel like the Seven Sisters shouldn't be of different ethnicities, or there shouldn't be rapping, let us know. We would love to hear from you, really.
Or maybe
Please agree
Cardi B
with
should be
my
the Little
Seven
Mermaid.
Sisters
Oh,
commentary, because that one is just weird.
Yeah, just let us know your opinion, and we will really love you to tell us what you feel about the movie, and yeah, or any comments about
Yeah,
diversity.
we'll see you next time then.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.